Alright guys, welcome back to Frugal Homestead. So today we're going to do the top 5 ways we lower our electric bill. So we've kind of made it our thing to try and fight our electric bill down to $50 a month. Now, that said, I want to touch on 2 things right off the bat that are not going to be on this list, but just for one for clarity, and the other one is just one everybody already knows, but I just want to reiterate it because it is very important. So the first one I want to talk about is when you have an actual furnace, electric furnace in your house. If you have an electric furnace, a mini split, anything that runs off electric, or even if it has a blower like a gas furnace, setting your furnace in the winter to whatever you can bear, say 68 instead of 70, will make a big difference if you have an electric furnace. I promise you. As a gas furnace, it's a blower, it's a little less, but it is an induction motor running, so it's going to use power. Obviously, gas around here at least is not as expensive. Propane might be, I don't know, but the point is, anything you can convince your family to accept, be it 68, 67, 69, every degree does make a difference. Leave that alone because we have a wood-burning furnace, so we kind of cheat that system. The next thing I want to talk about is we do have a $50 a month electric bill. Some of that is offset by a really low-tech solar system I installed. It's not that big a difference because we saw half of this savings even before we put the solar in. So you don't necessarily need solar. You definitely shouldn't invest in solar unless you're willing to take a long time to get repaid if you're having somebody else install it. If you're doing it yourself, you're not getting any tips from me. I have videos up showing how we did it, but I'm not telling that's how you should do it because there are pitfalls. But just to be clear, we do have solar that helps us some. Now, the first thing we did, and everybody hears this, but I don't think they fully grasp and understand the concept that you will make this money back probably the first full month that you use them. And it sounds so stupid, but number one is LED light bulbs. If you literally go through your entire house and change every light bulb to LED, we bought them where?
For $1 a piece at the Dollar Tree.
That's right, and they were actually 7 to 9 watts is what they really use, but they're equal to a 60 watt bulb. So if you replace every light bulb in your whole house, which for us I think was like 20 light bulbs, inside and out, and even if you have CFLs like the fluorescent tubey ones, those still use 14 to 16 to 18 watts, and they're slow start.
Ours use what, 7?
7. So even if you have the fluorescents, you're still not doing as well as if you did the LEDs, and they add up. So if you change them all, and you got kids that leave lights on, it won't matter. Now, if you're burning 60 watt bulb, you're burning 60 watts every hour. If you're burning a 100 watt bulb, you're burning 100 watts every hour. When you have an LED that puts out 60 watts worth of light at 7, 60 versus 7 watts every hour it's on of the day. How many of you, if you have kids like we had, you can yell at them to remember to turn the lights off, but they never remember. All right? So that adds up. Every 1,000 is a kilowatt. A kilowatt hour, okay, is the equivalent here with tax and everything, 11 to 13 cents. They may say AEP is 5.5 cents or 5.9 cents or 6 cents wherever you live. Just go ahead and double that because that's taxes and fees and transmission charges and everything else.
So basically, for the cost of 2 of our regular light bulbs, which was 60 or 100 watts, we could do the entire house.
Basically, in the first month we did it, we saved $27. So that paid for 22 light bulbs plus some. So do the math on that. Now you're going to save that every month after. It adds up. It really does.
So, next thing. The cook stove.
Yes, at 1,500 watts basically every time you turn on your stove, period. I don't care what you say. The law of averages, if you're baking in your oven, if you're baking on top, the law of averages says that you're going to spend about 1,500 watts if it's a 220 stove.
So we did some different things. We changed to using a lot of 110 appliances. So we have a quick cooker that I got as a Christmas present.
Kind of like an Instapot.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Instapot, so we use that a lot. We also bought a toaster oven off of Craigslist or somewhere for $10.
Yep.
So we use that a lot often. That's for baking things.
We got rid of the standard crock pot thing.
Yeah, because it used a lot more energy.
It used way more energy. It was just terrible. But then we got the sealed, like, rice slow cooker type deal.
Pressure cooker?
No, it's not a pressure cooker. It's a rice steamer, yeah.
Rice steamer one.
It's like right before the Instapots got big, they were the closed-in rice cooker steamers. You could slow cook, you could make rice, you could make all that steamed vegetables in it. We used that for a long time, and now recently we've picked up the mini version, rice cooker one.
Yes.
And we kind of cheat that as a slow cooker because it only does like an hour and a half.
It uses less.
Yeah, it's like 40 or 50 watts compared to 1,500. I mean, come on.
And a lot of times we cook outside.
Cook over the fire, yes.
We cook over a fire. We don't do a propane grill.
No. So we just set up blocks and grill over it. We will, in deer season, we cook over it. Actually, she does the taxidermy work on the deer heads now. She actually boils them off and peels them over the fire. We have a smoker that we fill up with coals out of the wood burner in the winter that she smokes meat on, and smoked a turkey one Thanksgiving, actually. Yeah. So, yeah, stove is a huge cost. It is
huge cost.
Huge. I mean, if you're cooking dinner every night on your stove, you will see your electric bill rise. This is just a quick way. It actually speeds our dinner cooking too because, you know, we're not.
So you gotta figure that's a 220 versus using 110s or.
Yeah, with low amps versus high amps. I mean, that's a big one. So, the next one is the water heater. Now, this one's subjective to your abilities. Now, a water heater essentially, there's two kinds out there. It's pretty much the biggest right now. One's on demand, and one is the old standard tank unit, okay, with the heaters in it. The on demand's great because it heats as it goes. The problem is with well water, or even in cities now, they're finding the calcium and the chlorine in the water is clogging the tube where it runs through to heat it. It's just becoming a thing. On our water here on the well, it is heavy in iron and sediment, so that's not going to work here. It really isn't. I actually have to clean out our regular hot water tank about once a year, even with the filters in place.
Which I'm sure if you've already did that and you did a video on it, didn't you?
Yeah. So,
that's some work.
But the hot water heater heating all day, I don't care how insulated it is, that is just burning electric. If you have an electric hot water heater, it is just burning electric all day. You need to understand that. Now, we had all our kids home. We had it set on a timer. I paid $50. Well, you paid $50 for the timer at Home Depot. I installed it. Basically, it just goes in the power line, and it has a timer that goes around. You cannot use any, like, rinky-dink, make-your-own timer deal here. Buy the regular one. It's worth $50 because you'll save it over the first couple months. But it would kick on when everybody came home about 4 or 5, and it would kick back off about 10 or 11 when the kids were going to bed. Everybody had to have their showers in that period of time. That was the deal. Now, it does have a switch on it you can flip up and down that you can turn it on manually if you wanted to. You give it about 15-20 minutes, you'd be able to go in and take you a shower for sure, do dishes, anything you need to do. But generally, we found having it on during those hours was plenty. Now that it's just me and Missy here in the house, we find that it's easier just to go back there and leave it off all the time, and then we kick it on
when we need it.
Yeah, for like an hour. If she wants to take a bath, we leave it on for 2 hours, and we get our baths, our showers, our dishes, and stuff like that done, and it's not a big deal. Most people would be like, that's crazy. Well, maybe, but heating water all day is crazy because you're just wasting power.
Because in ours, you got 2 elements that's heating.
Yes, so the one main element heats the top continually, and then the lower element will kick on if it reaches below a certain temperature to fast heat it up.
Now, in addition to that, we did turn our temperature down.
Yes, we did. We turned it down, and she wasn't happy about it, but we made it to the point where it's comfortable and it's hot, but it's not going to heat it to where it's like scald you. All right? It will not. Which is also nice things. Our granddaughter comes up, and we're kind of teaching her how to turn on her own water and get her own stuff set up, so we don't have to worry about her getting burnt. It gets hot, but it doesn't. You're not going to get burnt.
Right.
So that's another one. It was a $50 cost, well worth the money. At the worst, and people will argue this is bad, but a breaker costs next to nothing. You can kick it off over a breaker. Like if you're going on vacation in the summer, you can turn that breaker off on your hot water tank and just not make it heat all time you're going on vacation and save you a few bucks at the very least.
You'd be surprised how much you just save by having that shut off just on the hours that you're sleeping.
Yep.
Or hours that you're sleeping and away for work and school.
Yep, that's how we did it. So.
All right, next thing, the dryer.
Okay, the dryer.
Loves this one.
The dryer is my thing, and my wife was not happy about it when I started doing it because she grew up doing this. She lived on top of a hill that had no electricity, and they used a wringer washer that was rigged
with a gas motor.
And then they hung all their clothes. They line hung them. And she was kind of against that, going back to that style until I said I would do it. And once I started doing it and she realized what I was doing, she got on board with it and kind of adapted to make it work. Basically, we don't use our dryer at all. Our dryer sits there now.
I don't think we've used it in like at least 18 months, maybe even 2 years.
I'm not sure. It's been a long time. In the summer, I hang them outside. In the winter, we have a wood burner building outside that we can hang them in, or I hang them in the bathroom, or we have an area above the wash and dryer we hang it in. In the worst case, you'll see me hanging stuff on like doors and stuff. But I look at it like this. I get up and I stand up during a commercial and I'll go in there and do it. If there's a lot of laundry, I'll do it over 2 commercial breaks. But like in the evenings when we're watching TV, I'll do it. Or if I'm having my morning coffee, I'm sitting here at the table, I'll do a load and then I'll get up and put them outside and hang them up and kind of get myself moving in the morning. It kind of just depends. Since it's just the 2 of us, it's not as big a factor. I'm sure if you had a full family, it might be more of a rotation where you had to do like 2 loads a night. But it doesn't take that much time. It's super simple. We have a whole video built up on how to deal with the lint situation because that is a real situation. But we did a video on how to beat it. It's not that hard. She has dark pants that she has to have for work every day. And she goes to work every day looking clean. You know, everything looks good and all that. So the dryer, it burns a lot of power. It's hard for people to understand. And the problem is we as frugal individuals don't want to get rid of our dryer when it works, but it kind of takes a little longer. You know, you get to that point where you got to run clothes like 1.5 cycles. You're just killing power. I mean, you are literally killing power. You're like, well, it's cheaper than buying a new dryer.
And that's a 222, right?
Yes, that's a full-blown 220, and you're kind of doubling it because you're turning a motor and you're making heat and blowing it in there. So there's so many different aspects that a dryer uses power in. It's just like the one killer in the house that you just have to get off of if you want to save any real money on your electric bill. All right, so...
And last but not least, turning things off. One of our big things was the computer, the desktop computer.
Yeah, nobody realizes this, and every time I mention it, people are floored. A standard. Now, mind you, there is some different technologies out there. But a standard desktop computer, like the regular style, where you could actually build one, or the full-size desktop computer, all right? They use almost always at a minimum 500-watt power supply. I don't care if that thing's sitting on standby. I don't care if it's what mode it's on. If it has a 500-watt power supply on it, if the computer's turned on, just sitting there doing nothing, it's burning 500 watts. Period. They do have some econo modes and stuff that they can get down to 350. But think about it, 500 watts. That means for every 2 hours that's on, that costs you 13 cents. It about rocked my world when I realized it because we had one on that we were using for the TV and it ran 24/7. Just pulling that dropped our electric bill. I mean, it's a big deal. High-end notebooks now, like laptops, they only use like 35 to 55 watts. So that's a huge difference. I mean, it's massive. Turn them desktop computers off. Now, another thing that we say about turning things off is obviously lights, but if you're LED, it's not a big deal. But things like TVs, especially
Ghost power thing.
yes, leaving chargers plugged in, overcooking things just because you forget, like leaving crock pots on past the time they're supposed to be done. That's why we don't like the old style that's just got the high and low, because you can forget about it. You're just burning power. TVs, any TV not made within the last 3 years is probably drinking power. If you've got the old square box TVs and you're like, they still work fine, I'm not going to change them, that's using 300 to 500 watts right now. I had a Insignia TV we just got rid of. It was a 55-inch, and it was LCD, but that thing still used, on energy saver mode, used like 300 watts an hour. We put up an LED TV we got from your dad, and it uses like 35, 45 watts an hour. So leaving these things on, if you don't want to replace them, fine, I understand, but leaving them on when you literally walk out of the room can cost you power. Every little bit helps. It's like a piggy bank, and you're dropping money in it all month by turning things off or unplugging things, turning off lights.
Power strips are your friend.
Yep.
Turn them off when you are not home.
Yep. If you've got like 10 different things plugged in a power strip, turn it off.
Flip it off. Have it all.
Another one we'll give you, a good example is, if you've got cable, the cable company or DirecTV or any of them, they're not going to pay big money to have energy efficient boxes, guys. Cable boxes, actual true cable boxes, if you look on them, they're not even rated by the electrical little code you're supposed to have on them. Those things will suck up like anywhere from 300 to 500 watts an hour just sitting there. Just sitting there plugged in. So if you put that on a power strip and shut it off, boom, you start saving money. They're not going to invest. Those companies are not going to invest big money to give you an energy efficient product.
Right.
They're not going to do it. They're going to buy the cheapest crap they can get. That's why there's still giant boxes instead of newer technology. Taking the time to just turn everything off you can find, even as simple as we just found out, because the one bulb I can't change in this house is inside our microwave. So when I leave the microwave door open and the little light stays on, that thing's burning 75 watts for every hour it's left open. That's how dumb these little things are. But that matters. That burns over a day if it sits there 4 hours or if I go to work and leave it open. Now, turning off, there's one more I'm going to give you. This is a little bonus. When you're making your coffee, take that coffee as soon as it's done and unplug that coffee maker and pour it into a thermos. If you need to, get 2 thermoses. We have 2 thermoses.
That's what we do.
Pour it in there.
Always a thermos.
That burner underneath will stay on from anywhere from a half an hour to an hour and will be burning 350 to 550 watts continuously to keep it warm.
Most coffee pots will stay on for 2 hours before they shut off on their own.
So you're basically talking anywhere from 8 cents to maybe as high as like 20 cents every morning you make coffee. Leaving the warmer on, and some of them have switches. Like the old bun ones, they have switches. So if you don't manually turn it off, it just sits there and heats all day. So definitely take and turn off your coffee maker as soon as it's done. Put it in something insulated. Pour off that all day. This keeps it warm all day for us. And it is well worth the money. So these are our top 5 ways. There's many more.
And if you've got suggestions, something that we have not mentioned, please put it in the comments below, because we will be taking a look at it, seeing if we're doing that. Yeah,
because we're not afraid to change our habits, and it might help others that are looking for ways to save money in their homes or on their properties the same way. Now,
the one thing I'm going to tell you is I challenge you to get a kilowatt meter and start checking out some of these things in your homes.
Yep, we have a video on those. It's a $20 piece of hardware that plugs into a wall, and then you plug everything into it, and it will tell you exactly how much it uses over what period of time.
That was such a useful tool.
Yep, now we can chase around and plug in everything that's 110 in this house.
And anytime I get any new appliance, First thing it does is gets hooked up.
Gets tested right away. And that'll tell us whether we need to put it back in the box and go get another one of a different brand that uses less power or not. But you'll find yourself, once you get serious about this, researching everything you buy to make sure that it's energy efficient, or at least as energy efficient as you can make it. So make sure you're turning off those coffee makers, turning off those desktop computers, and you know what? If you get that extra money, start saving it, invest in some solar, and that'll take you the next step. And you'll be on your way to hitting them $50 a month electric bills. And then maybe after your solar, your wife will let you spend a little more and build an off-grid system. All right, guys, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.